Nazis hang 13 Yanks.
It was not easy. So many of the young people were lost.
The Yanks gained high ground at Okinawa.
We had heard the rumors that the Jews were being exterminated.
Nobody really knew the degree to which these things were going on.
For a young girl, it was a very exciting place to be because it was full of servicemen in uniform.
We had a lot of sailors and soldiers here. We had USO.
I went with my girlfriends down on a Saturday and take the streetcar, go to the matinee.
You know, it's wonderful when guys...
Everybody was busy with the war effort. The men in the family who were able-bodied at all went building ships. There was rationing of everything. Butter was rationed, meat was rationed, gasoline was rationed. We had practiced blackouts when we would hear sirens, and then we would all put out the lights.
There was a submarine net across the Golden Gate under the bridge to supposedly protect us from any submarines coming into the bay.
We got updated newsreels almost every day, and most of them having to do with the war.
Much of the information you got was via the radio, so almost every family, I believe, listened to the news at a particular time, usually at dinner time.
There were 7 of us who were the original, in effect, founding fathers of what became the Armed Forces Radio Service. It was a big, big operation. It became the biggest network in the world.
Of our allies, and above all, of the cause of freedom.
His fireside chats, my fellow Americans, went into history. He was able to give confidence and hope. Somehow to us, he was indestructible.
Because he was president for 12 of our 17 years, he really defined what the presidency of the United States was.
And he was a conceptualizer of the United Nations.
So when his death occurred, it was just devastating. I can't remember anything being more tragic.
And literally, people were crying on the streets when the news came that day. It was something you couldn't believe.
He was sworn in on the 12th, and on the 25th, the United Nations was going to start. And the first decision he made was that the United States was going to go forward.
And then came this challenge that the UN meeting represented. And believe me, it was a challenge.
But the ambience was so different from anything you had ever been in before because there were all these native costumes, native dress from all the different countries of the whole world. And everyone had the same goal, peace. We were going to have peace.
It was, of course, impossible for Truman to get there because there were so many things going on with respect to the war. So his speech had to come in by telephone line. So we had great concern. Would anything go wrong with this?
Setting up the essential organization to keep the peace.
I was so eager to work at the United Nations. We were very much aware of being very sure that we didn't translate only the words, but the meaning.
Bearing in mind,
everybody gave good speeches. They were all hopeful. We don't want any more wars. This is going to be a better world. We're all going to work together, etc. It was all very exciting for a girl of 22. War in Europe was over May 8th. There was dancing in the streets, hugging in the streets. Everybody was very excited. This was in the midst of the conference. All of us felt that we needed an organization in which we could talk rather than fight.
Truman came to San Francisco to sign the charter. And when he arrived, he came through the city riding in an open convertible. And it was very exciting to see him.
At the very end of the last session, they said the entire audience rose and cheered.
Mr. Truman was so excited he could scarcely contain himself. He was so thrilled.
For me, the United Nations means a great hope for peace, a great milestone in human history, and a great road marker toward peaceful coexistence between the countries. The road is open, and we just need to use it.
And what in the world would we do if we didn't have it?
The future is still the important thing in our lives, and our children's lives, and their children's lives.
We have to have peace.
Because it only takes one to make war. It takes two or more to make peace.
We've got to learn to live together. I think Lincoln said that very beautifully. He said, we'll have to hang together or we'll hang separately.
A great job has been done, but there is so much more to still be done. And it can only happen if the zeal and the faith and the determination which started out 50 years ago is renewed and revitalized and by all means continued with new strength and determination. That is why 50 years have been fine. But the next 50 years, as we go into the new millennium, we have got to keep the dream alive, and for God's sake, we have to recognize it's important and continue to work for it. That's my hope.